Hello, TE409 Spring Term 2019 instructors. I've been working this past semester with Kelly Hodges and Chris Kaiser in developing a plan for what the field experience might look like for TE409 in the spring. And since you all will be teaching it, I thought we might inform you about what the expectations are and tell you like what the process might be and offer any assistance that we might have or that you might want. So I'm going to take you through a PowerPoint that hopefully kind of explains everything, that gives you some ideas and maybe explains the process for developing this field experience component. So let me share my screen here. If I can find the right one, here we go. So again, welcome to the TE409 field placement component. Obviously, many of you have taught many classes with field components, so a lot of this isn't anything new, but we just want to explain the brief requirements and the expectations of what this might look like. So first of all, this is what we need really by the start of spring semester. And the deadline we have there is a week into it. So hopefully all your syllabi are completed and distributed, and all of this is in there already. So it's not like we have to approve everything beforehand. We will keep in touch with you to make sure that we're all on the same page. But yeah, it's nothing that we need tomorrow, but it is something that we probably need to start looking at and working on today, as you'll see the process as we move forward. So we got to know where our students are, with what mentors they are with, what their students are doing when you send them into these field experiences. And then maybe this is a new thing, how they will be assessed. And so the assessment part we'll talk about here in a little bit. First of all, I'm going to kind of pick through this definition of what a field experience is according to the Michigan Department of Education. As you see there, it's defined as a structured, supervised activity in an instructional setting in which a teacher certification candidate may gain experience in the practice of a teacher. So with that definition in mind, let's kind of pick apart the three aspects of this that we're most concerned with. First of all, it has to be an instructional setting. So this hopefully isn't a surprise. But I kind of want to talk about the process that you go about thinking about what instructional setting you want to send our students to. First of all, we want you to think about this strategically. Know that our students are in East Lansing. So no matter how great a school is, like Grand Blanc, we probably don't want to send our 409 students out there. So try to maybe find some locations in the greater Lansing area that our 409 students will have easy access to. But be wary of overloading our mentors. I mean, we all know, we all have our go-to mentors that we've worked with in the past in the area. And so, there's nothing wrong with going back to them and asking them, because they're adults and they can choose whether or not they want to do this or not. But yeah, let's not keep relying on the same people over and over again if we think maybe they might be getting burned out. So we'll leave that up to you to figure out if that's the case in any of our potential mentors for 409. And then this last point is kind of the important thing that we have to start working on now. So remember, there's a process of how we assign mentors. The first part of the process is getting approval by principals or administrators of that school for us to contact mentors. And so we're waiting for feedback from you right now to contact these administrators and principals, and we'll do that. Chris Kaiser and or I will be contacting them for you. But we want to all do that at the same time. We don't want to send 6 different emails to the same principal asking them to contact mentors in the various subject matters that we're all teaching. So as soon as possible, and even today, even if you can get us, either Chris or I, the ideas for maybe what schools, because you might have a mentor already in mind at East Lansing or at Everett or whatever. So you can't really contact them about the official mentoring until we get approval for us to do that. So as soon as you all get us the potential schools that you want to contact a mentor in, then we can send out this request to ask if it's okay to contact these mentors, and then we'll let you know as soon as possible. So because that's the first part of this, we need you to get those ideas to us as soon as possible. We can get those invitations or requests out to the administrators or principals, wait for their response, and then get it back to you. So it's a really easy part of the process, but it seems to be probably the most time consuming because everyone is so busy and there's reminders that have to go out and whatever. So as soon as you can, if you can please get us those ideas for what schools that you might want to send students to. And this then leads us to the next part of this definition, is that this is a supervised activity. And it doesn't mean you have to be the supervisor. In fact, you probably won't be the supervisor. It'll be up to the mentor teacher that you're sending the students to. And so once we get approval that you can contact a mentor, a potential mentor, to work with your 409 students, feel free to then reach out and talk to them. However, you might have an outline together before you contact them, so the expectations of them are clear, including the assessment part, which again we'll see in a little bit. I'll give you maybe an example of what this assessment might look like. But we don't want to throw any surprises on a mentor at the end of the spring semester that says, oh, by the way, you have to fill out a 23-page rubric on the 409 students that you hosted. So think about what the assessment might be and what you might expect students to do, maybe before you contact your potential mentors, so they have an idea of what kind of commitment they're getting into. And then if you confirm with a mentor that, yes, this mentor has agreed to take 4 students or whatever, again, just shoot that information to either me or Chris Kaiser, probably Chris and me, or CC me. But Chris is the official one. You see his email there. And I'll repeat it later on in the presentation, as well as with my contact information as well. But so again, here's the process. You get us the ideas of a school. We get permission to contact mentors from the school. You contact the mentors with a basic idea of what your expectations of the mentor are. You confirm those mentors back to us. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of setting up the mentor process. Okay, but now we get to maybe the heart of the matter, is that this field experience needs to be a structured activity. So it can't just be, hey, go observe that class and then come back. There has to be some kind of meat to this experience. And so this is the structured part of the field experience. And so here is the 3 parts of the structure that we're looking for. First of all, what will students be doing in preparation for this mentorship, this field experience? What will they do once they get there? And then the last point, how will it be assessed? So in your initial conversations with your potential TE409 mentors, you might want to ask them what preparation you want these interns to be doing before they get to your class, to their class. So this is kind of important. This could kind of maybe even help you develop other parts of your syllabus, as you'll see here in a minute, that we've done in social studies, which is not a model by any means, but it's just some ideas that I'll show you that we've done in social studies that might be ideas for you to follow. But the preparation for the field experience could be brought into your TE409 class and syllabus as well, so that it's not like something different, but we're maybe kind of uniting the coursework of 409 with the field experience itself. So then what will students do when they get to their TE409 placement? Well, there's a lot of different ways that you can structure this. When you look at these options here, it could be a couple of these, it could be all of them, it could be just an interesting combination. But think about all of these things: observing a class, co-planning with the mentor, co-teaching with the mentor, assessing and analyzing student work, and spending time directly with learners. And that's an important aspect. If you can figure out a way to have our 409 students directly engaged with learners, with students in the field experience classroom in some way or another, that would be fantastic. But again, a combination of several of these things would make a very meaningful and productive field experience. How will it be assessed? So assessment is an important aspect of this experience. So think about how we might make this an experience that is beneficial for our students and not just something that they have to do. And so I threw some things up there. Obviously, a reflection by our 409 students themselves about the experience might be an important aspect of your assessment. The mentor assessment. Again, this is something that maybe we haven't highlighted out of the past, but we kind of want to think about this time, is can we get some feedback from the mentor that our 409 students are working with? We certainly don't want to make this an overwhelming experience that the mentor has to fill out. Nothing like an AOP rubric of any kind whatsoever, but certainly some words of some feedback that would highlight the positive aspects of what the mentor saw, and then offer some things to think about for each of the 409 students. That would be fantastic. And that would be simple enough to get some feedback from the person who actually watched the 409 students interact or plan or teach a lesson in their class. And then figure out a way based on all that as well of a way that maybe you can offer your assessment of the experience as well. Can you offer some feedback based on the 409 student reflection, based on the mentor assessment, that maybe you can bring together to make this like a really meaningful experience that aligns with everything that you're trying to accomplish in your 409 class. I also want to throw this out there. This is not a requirement, but I'll throw it out there. Then maybe make this field experience your live text key assessment. That's what we're going to try to do in social studies. And again, I'll try to show you what we're doing with that. Just to again, give you some ideas of what you might do. But again, the key assessment aspect is not required. But if you don't already have a key assessment for your TE409 class, maybe this is a way to accomplish that requirement as well. Okay, so let me tell you what we got planned for social studies. And again, this is just our plan. We don't have approval from like these various schools or whatever. But here's what we hope is going to happen. So I'm teaching the psychology 409 class. And so our plan is to offer, I think I have 12 students. So our plan is to offer 3 choices for our 12 students to do their field experience in: East Lansing, Hazlitt, and Waverly. Only because I know people in those schools, and I think that's going to work out great. But again, I haven't confirmed with any of those teachers. We haven't even asked those principals yet, because we're waiting for your ideas of schools so we can send that one that one request. But I'll set up these 3 teams, 4 students in a team. And the preparation they will be doing for their field experience is to look at the standards for psychology and to develop a list of resources that they could use in a psychology class. Now, these are some of the other assignments in the TE409 psychology class. And so by doing these 2 assignments, they will be preparing for their field experience. So then once they get assigned or choose one of these 3 schools, they will have 3 meetings with their mentor teacher. The first meeting is to kind of get to know the team, get to know the mentor, have the mentor get to know who the students are, and have the mentor even talk about the class itself and how they plan it or how they think about it, and how they assess it, all of those things. And then at the end of that meeting, they'll decide on a subject that, excuse me, the team will be teaching together, so that our 409 students could look at maybe their previous assignment about what resources they might use for this classes, or anything they've already identified for this topic that they will be planning and teaching together. So they will bring then those resources together in the second meeting of this team, where the group will be planning a lesson that they will co-teach together. And so there'll be a co-planning session between the mentor and the 4 team members, and they'll develop a strategy and a lesson plan and figure out who's teaching what and why and all of those things. And then the third meeting is the actual co-teaching of that lesson that they've co-planned. And we will be requiring that co-teaching experience will be videoed, and will be an important aspect in the assessment process that you'll see in a minute. So again, there's some preparation of looking at standards and possible resources. There's 3 meetings with the mentor teacher, get to know you, a co-planning session, and a co-teaching session. So the assessment then is also 3 aspects of it. There'll be a student reflection of how they thought it went, how is it different from their major, things like that. And then there'll be a mentor reflection, again, about the positive aspects of the experiences and the things for each student then to think about as they move forward in the teaching of this subject matter, psychology in this case. But you can kind of see, like, there'll be kind of just one document that I'm going to be asking mentors to fill out for the entire group, even though individuals will be identified in that group, in that reflection. I certainly don't want the mentor to feel like they have to fill out a document for each of the 4 team members. Now, if you have less people per mentor, like if you have 1 student per mentor, then that's great. And that reflection from the mentor, or that assessment from the mentor, might be even more meaningful. But in this case, because of the time constraint that we're already asking of the mentors in psychology, I'm not going to really ask for a detailed assessment and reflection of each student. So then students, because they have videotaped this co-teaching experience, will upload this video into via live text. And then from via live text, we are going to be using parts of the AOP rubric. We've chosen 3 aspects of the rubric that, if you understand, that these students will be engaged in next year during their internship. And so we've chosen 3 aspects of the rubric, talking about planning and teaching a lesson, just very basic things. But we do this, first of all, so that we maybe kind of use this rubric in a way that is more aligned with the entire intentions of the internship program, and they kind of get an idea for the scoring aspect of the rubric. We don't really expect students to be at a 2, 3, or 4 in this analysis with the AOP rubric. So it kind of gets them in that mindset too, that we don't expect them to be great teachers at this point. And then it might give us some information then too about, have we prepared at the end of our senior year students to be successful beginning their internship in their last year. And so I will use the video, I will use the mentor reflection, I will use the student reflection to do this final assessment at the end of the semester. So just to recap, your task here in the upcoming weeks is to first send ideas for potential schools that you want to work with to me and Chris by December 1st. If you can do it sooner than that, great. We would love to have the school, the invitations confirmed the ability to invite mentors confirmed as soon as possible. So get those ideas to us soon. While you're waiting for us to confirm those, the ability for you to contact mentors, maybe develop what your field experience will look like, what students will do, how they will be assessed, all of those things. You can do this with, if there's anyone else teaching, or if you want to use aspects of the example I just gave you for psychology, great. Whatever you want to do, but just start thinking about that. Once we give you the okay, then you can reach out and make contact with potential mentors, and it would be great if we can have all the mentors lined up before we all leave for break in December. It's not required, but that would be like the ultimate goal. If we can have all the mentors and the ideas of how you will assess and what students will do in their field experience by the time we leave for break, that would be amazing. If I haven't heard from you by December 1st, then I will be emailing you just to check in on things. So please, and I probably will email you anyways, just to give you an update about how things are going. And then I'll follow up with you by the time we leave for break on December 14th, just to kind of see where we're at. You know, do we have mentors lined up? Do we have assessments lined up and develop all that kind of stuff? But the ultimate deadline will be right there at the beginning of spring semester. We need the idea. We need where students will be and who they will be mentoring or interning with, field experiencing with. We need to know what students will be doing. We need to know how they will be assessed. And so all of those things by the beginning of spring semester, but ideally before we leave for Christmas break. Here are the contact information for both me and Chris. Feel free to reach out to either of us with any questions or concerns or roadblocks or whatever. My cell number is there as well, and so you can drop me a text. And Chris is always in Erickson, it seems, so you can stop by his office anytime too. So I hope that has been helpful to you and kind of what we're kind of looking for. But it's time to start thinking about spring semester. I know, even though we probably don't want to be doing that at this point. But let's jump on this and see if we can get ahead of the game before we leave for Christmas. Thanks for your attention, and we will see you soon, I hope.